So we're back doing a bit of watering today. It's that time of the year where it's pretty consistent, particularly in the mornings. It's not every day, but we certainly check each tree every day, particularly the ones that dry out a bit more or that need a little bit more water, and whether they're deciduous or flowering. So it's still a constant checking of each tree, but we're not necessarily watering every tree at this point in time. And the conifers can allow to dry out that little bit in between each water too. They can handle that and they sort of prefer that. So that's something we certainly look for each time we water. We don't just water everything all at once. So I'll go through and water some of the gallery and I'll let some music play. There's always discussion about whether we should water the foliage or not, particularly on a sunny day. Some people like to say that you get some scorching and burning of the deciduous leaves. I'm not a big believer in that, unless it's, 40 degrees, but really the scorching and the burning of leaves comes down to the water, and if it has enough water moving through the tree, you shouldn't really see any scorching on any of your deciduous foliage. Well, now they're all watered, I'll show you a few trees that are looking pretty good in the nursery at the moment. This is a pine, black pine that Jeff, the owner, has just worked on into a new pot. Bit of a redesign. That's looking pretty good at the moment. Do a little bit of pruning on this redwood here. So we'll start from the lower branching. We're not taking too much off of this. We want it to really fill out, create a nice pad So we're getting rid of any growth that we don't want going the wrong way or the wrong direction. We don't want the tree wasting energy on the wrong type of growth, and I'm sure you've heard me say that many times. And when we're pruning redwoods, we want to make sure that we're getting in between the fronds. We don't want to be cutting straight across the foliage, almost like a juniper. Treat it like a juniper. You want to get in between the needles, same as this. You want to get in between the foliage and just be cutting the stem of the branch. Always step back fairly frequently when pruning something. We want to make sure we get the full image of what we're doing and not just something that's overhead. We want to make sure that we're stepping back, looking at the whole tree, and then that way we're not getting caught up in pruning things that don't need to be pruned or pruning something too much. Spin this and you'll get a bit of better view. So you can see I'm still keeping the pads nice and full, but I'm just bringing it into shape a little bit more. How'd you go?
Yeah, smooth.
Yeah, been a fair few people coming through.
Yeah.
They saw you coming and left.
I can see it. Have you been to his place yet?
No.
Some good projects. Any show in, like everything
Yeah.
right now is like
Tiny.
I thought the stuff you see here is good for the development class. So much of it is the tree is like in here,
Yeah.
and there's all these big shoots
Yeah.
coming in, but it's really clear. Like even to the person who doesn't know, like
Yeah.
you see what's going on here. So I think it's a really I don't even think accomplished bonsai people see and do this work that he's doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I guess the idea of the long term. I don't even like using those terms because it almost sounds like a negative thing, but and they're not long term.
Yeah.
If you get a reasonable trunk, you get some good basic movement in a little maple like this. If you also get some sacrifice branches and shoots coming out to help with that vigor,
Yeah.
and then you get the buds where you want them to start to pop. It's not long.
Yeah.
In fact, the more of the sacrifice and the more good situation is.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're gonna have a primary branches and you have some
Yeah.
branches.
Haku has just come into the nursery. Basically just needs a bit of a redesign. New pot as well. A little bit late in the season to be repotting, so we might just slip pot it into either a larger nursery pot or a bigger bonsai pot. We'll see how it looks. But initially I'm contemplating getting rid of this whole branch. It's a big branch, but you can sort of see right here becomes a bar branch almost with this branch on the right hand side. So I think we'll gin that, and it just shows off the size of the trunk and movement in the trunk a little bit nicer without this there. So I might just go ahead and get rid of that first off, and then we can start to bring some of these other branches down into better angles and fill in the spaces. So we'll do that first. So it's likely that I won't be using all of this as gin. It's always better to just cut back less severely at first, because we can always just cut more of the gin off eventually. So we use ginning pliers when we do this sort of work. Always best to do it as soon as you take the foliage off. If you leave that to dry out, you're pretty much going to be carving the bark off, whereas this, well, it should come off fairly easily. So you can see how easily that is pulling off. You can see here now we have the same issue that we had with the branch. It was long, came out at an awkward angle, and it wasn't very interesting, very elongated from the trunk to the first branch. And it takes your eye away from the movement of the trunk in the tree. So I think what we'll do is we'll shorten it even more and have it very similar size to the one here. When we do that, it's best to just use our pliers and we just roll the wood away. That gives it more of a natural look. Whether that translates properly in the video or not, but it just looks a lot more natural. And hopefully also you should be able to see that it really just shows off this movement in the trunk now. Also shows off the size. It's a fairly decent size trunk for the size of the tree. So now we'll go through, give it a general tidy up. So the light was pretty average where I was before, so I've just moved outside. So I'm just going to go through and give it a bit of a prune, get some wire and things. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, how are you?
Yeah, good.
My little man's keen to get into bonsai. What's
Yep.
a good type to sort of start off with?
I would generally say like a juniper or maybe like a trident or Japanese maple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Juniper or maple? Chinese maple? Japanese maple? Matter?
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. You know, something like this. Well, we've got like the tridents as well. Have a look through the gallery as well if you haven't already. That'll really sort of, there's various different styles in there, and if you see something that you like, you can sort of cater to what you get and what you work on.
Juniper and maple is a good starter.
Yeah, generally something like that is pretty good. Yeah.
Cool, appreciate it, mate.
No worries. Find anything you like, mate?
Yeah, I'm going to get one of those Chojo and the Shikis.
Oh, beautiful.
Put it up the front. So,
Yeah.
yeah. How long have you been doing this?
About 3 years.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah.
That's the same as me.
Oh, really? Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought you would have been doing it for like 10 or something.
No. I was a spray painter for the last 14 years, and then I just sort of took this up as a bit of a hobby.
Just fell in love with it.
Pretty much, yeah. Became addicted, hyper fixated on it, learned everything I could, and
That's pretty much me.
yeah, I think that's how a lot of people sort of get into it.
I've come here for one species and I'm buying other stuff. So.
Oh, really? What were you looking
I
for?
was going to look for some shimpakis, but
Yeah, we do have some younger stuff there, but so how'd you get into it then?
how did I get into it? So I had a kind of by accident, really. Like I had an oak tree which I planted out the front of my place, English oak.
Yeah.
And I let it grow for like about 4 years, and I was like, oh, that looks crap there. And I dug it up one year, not expecting it to live. I was like, I'll just throw it in a pot.
Yeah.
It actually went crazy.
Yeah.
I was like for sure this thing's gonna die. And then I just started playing with it and stuff, and then I think I started watching YouTube videos.
Oh yeah, went down the rabbit hole of YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah. And then just started collecting, all different species. And
nice.
I guess that's where mine began.
Yeah, cool.
Digging out a tree and expecting it to die.
Yeah, and it bounces back and you go, oh wow.
Yeah. So look around and
Yeah, easy. Let me know. Come and put that through for you when you're ready. Yeah. That one too.
yeah, I'll grab both.
Show the camera. Get it in there. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So we're picking up a nice Nishiki. What are your plans for it?
Probably trunk split it.
Yeah.
Try and get some bend in here.
Yeah, sick.
That base is just amazing.
Yeah, it's cool. Hey, yeah. I actually just styled up one not that long ago with a similar sort of base to it. It looks cool now, but we'll see what it looks like. Yeah. Yeah, sick. You grabbing just those two, or are you still looking?
No, I'll just get these.
Yeah, cool. We are back. It's going to be around 26 in Melbourne today, so probably going to be about 21, 22 here. A little bit cooler, but still pretty warm for this climate. So we're going to do a little bit of repotting. Just shaped this up yesterday. Quickly just do a bit of a slip pot on this. Obviously not the perfect time of year to be repotting something like this, so it'll just be a fairly gentle repot. I think the last time I recorded I was working on a shimpaku, which I might just go and grab that just to show. So this is the shimpaku that I was working on last time. Somewhere around here is the front. It sort of has multiple different potential fronts, so that's why we kept it in a round pot. So whoever ends up purchasing this can enjoy it however they like to enjoy it. I'll give you a quick little spin. We'll let it settle in and then we'll start some fertilization and get it back to its full health and full color. So we'll leave it down in the retail section. It gets good shade pretty much all day, so it can just be left to recover a little bit and then we'll get some fertilizer on it. It's a long weekend here in Melbourne as well, so I am expecting, that needs a repot. I am expecting a fair few people to come through the nursery today. Well overdue for a repot. We're going to put it straight back into the same pot. So while being gentle in this repot, we do have to take a little bit out to try and incorporate all that new soil that we want to get in there. And we just want to open up this original root ball, which underneath all this matted mess, it doesn't actually seem too bad, but quick clean up and we'll get it straight back in there.
Do that once a year?
It depends on the tree. We try and leave it as long as we can. So deciduous maybe every 2 to 3 years. Conifers maybe every 2 to 5 years, depending on the age of it. Depending on the pot that it's in as well. The more shallower pots are going to need to be repotted a little bit earlier than some other things.
Base of some of them. What's that for?
They hold our fertilizer.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so some species we don't want to fertilise at certain times of year.
Yep.
So it's much easier just to grab a whole basket and just take the fertilizer off rather than picking off the individual pellets. So yeah, it's just a little bit easier.
So you just take it out from the pellet and then, or it just self-fertilises?
Yeah, so as we water, it just drains through into the soil. Same as it would just sitting on top of the soil, but it's just sitting in a basket. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Can you get those?
You can, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. If you're after just like the plastic ones, you can just get them off of eBay. We sell metal ones, they last a lot longer. The plastic ones, if they're out in the sun too much, they'll crisp up and just crack and stuff eventually, but much cheaper. We just use like an organic slow release. The brand we use is Seamungus, but you can pretty much, you can use Osmocote as well, or any of the inorganic stuff.
Doing it that way because I've got one. It's in a pot so big and it's tall. I'm one that prefers just to let them grow and then cut it to
right.
rather than do the the wire.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah. And I just wondered, but that's a good idea.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
as it rains, it just
Exactly, yeah, it just drains into the soil that way.
Cool.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
Very good. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no worries at all.